probably the topic is on that. So, if you look at us as an industry, probably we started in 98 or 2000s, as commercial, but it was very small. I personally joined this industry in 2004. Before that, I was in RFID, and it was a dying industry at that point of time, and I jumped into this data center industry. While from 2004 to 2012, I think probably this was becoming a glorified real estate business, and there was not much business or traction. And suddenly, the hyperscalers decided to come to India. And at that point of time, I still remember we used to have data centers which were like 4 megawatt, 5 megawatt, 7 megawatt. And suddenly customer is talking about 30, 40, 50 megawatt and hundreds of megawatts in multiple cities. And that's where the gear changed. It was hyperscalers who actually gave that requirement to market. And from there, brownfield became greenfield. So the first greenfield came in around, it was like completely BTS was around in 2015. And post that, now that's history. Everybody is making greenfield data centers. But now, after pre-COVID and post-COVID, customers, the volume is becoming so much in this country that they have decided to make their own data centers. Which means that not only we have the requirement changing, so we need to also change. So we are doing BTSs. We are not product centric anymore. Whatever customer requirement is, we are aligning ourselves to that. And I think that will be a pretty much similar solution in the next 10 years. And as and when the customer's volume increases, technology changes, we have to adapt, and we are fully focused for that. Apart from that, it is not only the hyperscalers, the enterprise, the government policies, our enterprise customers, banking, finance, everything is growing. But this market needs some changes. The traditional data center, what we are selling, what we are making for them, we need some changes, and we are adapting to what customer needs are, and precisely we are delivering those products. So this is what I think probably our industry has been, we are changing constantly as per the customer requirement and needs. Thank you.
Well, correct. So I will move to Jimmy from Friends FM, and he's from a very diametrically different end of the spectrum. We go from B2B to B2C. He's dealing with what we can call the TikTok generation, who need innovation on almost a hourly basis, if not a daily basis. And he's at it all the time. And he's working on multiple initiatives with this channel. So Jimmy, can you tell us your insights on how do you deal with your customers, your clientele, and how is their aspect of life sensitive to your business trends?
First of all, thank you so much. It's really a pleasure being here, being with all you beautiful people who actually, I'm learning a lot from you guys, basically. That's the way I look at it. Let me rewind a bit. I'm into the business of radio, but I'm going to rewind a bit. Our grandfathers, long time ago, they used to work for money. Basic idea was to make money, go home, look after family. Our fathers said, okay, great. We are working for money, but we also want to enhance our standard of living. Today, when we look at the youth or the Gen X who is going forward into the earning world, they're not just looking for money, they're not just looking for career, they're not just looking for enhanced lifestyle. That's all there. They are looking at being content, they are looking at being happy, and they are looking at loving what they are doing. Now, rewinding a bit back to radio. When I joined radio in Feb 94, those days we used to play audio cassettes in broadcast radio stations. DATs, vinyls, records, and CDs were just introduced. So, radio's gone a long way. From those days, today, we are totally computerized. Music is also absolutely scientifically put in, what we call mood mapping. And I'm just curious. Okay, I'm just going to ask you guys a question out there. How many of y'all are bored, feeling tired? Okay, how many of y'all are in Josh? Can we have some hands up? Yeah, come on, I know y'all had a lovely lunch. Great. Okay. Where I come from, just slowly, around, saying with all the loving voice, I think you would have medium. We started the first Facebook Live on radio using a telephone, using a mobile phone. And before the pandemic, and just as the pandemic started, we took a call as a radio station that we will go on air and we will go on digital. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very proud to say we are one of the only stations in the world which is using a software called Restream. And as we are broadcasting on air, we are conversing with the listener across the world, and we are streaming to about 7 of our pages. Means on radio, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter, on Facebook Live, across, and even on LinkedIn. It's all about connecting. It's all about ensuring that the customer is happy. Today, you may give the best of service, but it's okay for me, theek hai yaar. That's not the way it works. I think as we are moving forward, we are looking at the happiness and the way the client reacts, enjoys either the service or the product, which is going to be a key to success. It's not about, I've got the best product in the world. It's not about, but does that best product make the customer happy? Does that best product of the world really incite the customer to engage with it? We have to give it a serious thought. And a lot of things come into it. So there's a lot to talk about. But you're looking hot and happening. So let's get on with the next. And we were deciding actually, we were contemplating, should I rap or shouldn't I rap? That's a smile.
We will get you a rap towards the end. We'll wrap up with your rap. So Jimmy, thanks so much. I wish we could transpose that mood map into our enterprise clients as well. That would be incredible. With that, I think I'll ask Nupur the next question. In terms of enterprise, so Nupur, you spent quite a number of years in public relations and then with enterprise IT and so on. Even now you're doing that. And a lot of things that we talk to as value to our clients is beyond what we really sell. And sustainability is one of them. Just want to understand from your perspective on A, trends that you see in terms of customer centricity, and number 2, specific to sustainability. How much does that really resonate with your clients? How proactive are you in terms of taking that message to market, and how much are clients soaking it in?
Taking on from thank you, Jimmy. And taking on from what Jimmy was talking about, you ultimately want your consumers to be happy. But imagine that one morning you wake up and that radio doesn't go on or the music doesn't play. Imagine that your corporate or your organization has got breached, or there is an attack that is not letting you do at that point of time what you were supposed to do. So talking about sustainability, at CrowdStrike, we really believe in having a human-centered approach. It's not just about what are the business or the technology considerations that we have today. What is more important, and in fact the factors that we need to keep in mind, is the human behavior, the human needs, the human preferences in today's market. We believe in predicting and preventing breaches and threats. We provide protection at endpoint, in the cloud, like we were talking about the cloud security piece, also with identity, and also protecting data. So imagine whether it's data centers or it's cloud or it's your organizations, remote or in-house, it's all about really protecting your data, identity, and cloud. So with that, it's very, very important to have a human-centric approach. At the end of the day, in this digital transformation age, it's very important that we have our organizations safe, we have our people safe, we have our identities safe, and most importantly also, as it extends into this world, we have our children safe. We are all in the cyber world. What is it that we can do together so that we are all safe and life can continue to grow better?
So, Rajesh, over to you. So you heard all the perspectives, and with Everest, I know that you interact a lot with global clients, global enterprises, both from the service provider and the buyer side as well. Where does all this fit in your assessment of how we head in terms of keeping clients at the center, obviously, but then how we approach them in terms of selling and in terms of work?
No, absolutely. Great perspective. Again, thanks for having me. I mean, I'm an industry analyst, right? So for sure, I need to talk about some data or kind of analyze why we are talking about this particular topic. At one level, we understand, but if I try to put this in the broader business perspective, global business perspective, a recent research came out with this finding that 70% of the top CXOs or the key executives are putting customer centricity as the top priority in the coming years. And why are they doing it? Because the research suggested that those enterprises who put the customer centricity, superior customer experience at the heart of what they're doing, they generate 15% higher top line, but they also lower the cost to serve by 30%. Now, a lot of times when we think about, hey, you need to create superior customer experience and create greater customer centricity, the notion is that you need to make a lot of investments across multiple things. Actually, that's not true. The data that I just suggested, you can increase your top line by 15%, and still reduce your cost to serve by 30%. So, how some of these global organizations are doing it? Some of these leading organizations are doing it, right? Of course, if you look at research, if you look at this, there are a lot of building blocks of creating an organization and making it customer centric. Of course, we talk about data, analytics, tools, technology. We live in the digital era. We're going to be in metaverse era, so on and so forth. Operating model, business model, all are valid components. But one of the key things that I have seen, which play a very, very important role in making an organization customer centric, is actually the culture. The culture of the organization, internal culture of the organization. And it's not about the sales department or the marketing department. When talking about organization, how do we align the entire organization to become customer centric? In fact, one of the greatest correlation is between employee experience and customer experience. You cannot have and cannot create a superior customer experience if you don't have employees and the human part of the picture, as we're going to talking about, are really on the same page. In fact, if I can give an example of, and I can quote this because it's in the public domain, Grab, right? One of the tax-saving companies. One of their organizational mantra is, for everyone, the organizational mantra is, your problem is my problem. In a lot of organizations, you will see, hey, this is not my problem, this is not my remit. Now, you've got to cut through that silo to be able to kind of achieve that. So, again, the point here is, irrespective whether you are in B2B setup or B2C setup, again, a lot of building blocks, all valid building blocks. The focus, attention on building that organizational culture, and right from the top to the bottom, is critical, is crucial. And that same gets reflected into third-party relationship like service providers and so on and so forth, right? So that's the point, right?
So Vimal, can you give an example of how you bring that to life in your office? How do you really align teams together when you finally have to go to market?
So first of all, the kind of industry we are in, the customer is giving his heart, right? So it's like you can't stop it, right? So the commitment comes from a very from the management level actually. So when the management commits to the customer for whatever services, technology we have to implement for them, then comes the role of the middle management, wherein all the top, whether it is projects, whether it is product, whether it is procurement, engineering, so all have to collaboratively work, and for that, the focus of management is always there, so that we don't lose track. And as he correctly said, everybody has the same goal, that we have to deliver what our management has promised to the customer. So everybody, so we do weekly meetings, monthly meetings, and probably we try to also in between, everybody gets to talk to customer also to understand his requirement, so that we don't have a gap in between teams. So, but focus has to come from management, and I think probably everybody has to work together to deliver what customer needs.
So let's switch that a little bit and talk about innovation. I think we've all heard a lot of speakers as to how we do things differently, how we need to reposition ourselves, etc. So let's switch that to innovation, and I'll turn to the B2C end of the spectrum. And Jimmy, can you give us some examples of how you brought changes and how you innovated in your programming in order to keep up with the audience's requirements, and also how maybe you've done things that put you ahead of what your audience would even think of?
See, radio, as I said, is all about the feel, the perception, The key success, especially in radio, is not just doing a show or doing a good show. It's connecting with the audience, engaging with the audience, and interacting with the audience. The first mantra, which sadly not many stations do, you need to be live and real. If I'm doing a good show, the audience over there would love to engage with me. But if it's going to be a recorded show with a sexy voice and great music, and the person is listening to it, then why should we listen to any song anywhere in any of the channels or the Spotify's or whatever, basically? He wants to engage. That first observation of radio, the first objective of radio, is to engage, connect, and interact with the consumer. Very, very important. That way, he feels very close to the medium. He knows he can pick up the phone or send a message on the digital, and he's going to get an instant response. So he feels very close to the medium. It's like a family. I get calls. I'll just share maybe a 30-second story. It was a long time ago, I remember, very, very late night, at 1:30 in the night, I got a call from someone on air live. And the first thing he said, Jimmy, I don't want to live anymore. And that was at 1:30 in the night. So I spoke to him, and I spoke to him for 16 minutes on air, which is unthinkable. But that's how people think, how close they can confide in radio. He was standing on the 4th floor of the ledge, holding a mobile phone, and he was talking to me. After 16 minutes of conversation, I understood. He had someone to hear. His dad was busy with business, no time. Mom and kiddie parties, no time. He was talking his life out on air. Absolutely, and the world was hearing. After 16 minutes, I convinced him to get back to his room. Today, he is one of the biggest lawyers in the Calcutta High Court and a very good friend of mine. And whenever we meet, he says, Jimmy, radio, give me a second life. Now tell me, which product or which thing can make you so close that you can give a call, feeling कि यार चलो यार एक तो दोस्त है वहाँ पे जो मैं बात कर सकता हूँ. It's not innovation. It's coming out reality. Talking about innovations, we have to innovate every day. And remember, radio is not just about on air. Radio is not just about creating amazing content. That has to be there. You have to differentiate. But radio is all about on air, on ground, and digital combined. I'll give you a small example. There was a very big beverage client. We did something for a very big beverage client. There was a huge festival. We had taken one of the huge parks in the city, and we used a hot air balloon. And inside that hot air balloon, which was about 22 feet, where about 10-12 people could stand, we created an entire radio studio. On the move on air, about 100 feet in height, we were broadcasting live from a hot air balloon, engaging with those 10 winners there. Innovation. Way back I talk about, we created a radio studio on a hoarding in the city of Calcutta, right on the main Kamak Street. We had 500,000 cars passing it every day, and the engagement was so good that we had told the people, if you're passing by, why don't you dip your headlights? And all the cars in the evenings were actually dipping the headlights. That is the connection. You just can't just play music, or you just can't have a great voice and tell the person, okay, give me a call, we're having a contest. That's basic radio. You need to innovate, you need to refresh, you need to create a differentiation. You know, you need to take a baseball bat and charge out and give a big hit, rather than just a normal slam. Trust me, that is the game which needs to be done, because ultimately, you also can't hum a song for 1 year. You will hum it for 1 month and then you will love some other song and you'll start humming it. And that's the way it works. So radio is a continuous ongoing process of innovation. And as we said, 2 years back and right now, we are huge into digital, we are into the audio business, we have started our podcast, we are engaging in a big, big way across the audio dimension, and this is just the beginning.
Thanks, Jimmy. So, Nupur, I'm going to pick up on one of the conversations we had over the last year or two and ask you, given that we discussed about all that you've done in the last many years, I'm going to take you to the story about the hills, right, where you set up this fabulous place. Obviously, when everything is got to do with business, and it's an enterprise of its own, like you told me, and you get customers over there. So it's a different experience for people to go there, even if they're customers. So what is it they're looking for, and how is it that you bring these elements together? And that's something that you put a lot of personal effort into. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Thank you for surprising me. This was not supposed to be here as a question. But if I got your question right, you're asking me with that whole enterprise setup, how is it that I'm putting my learnings from there into the current state of things?
The other way as well.
The other way as well? Well, okay. So, thank you for putting me on a spot. This is not something I prepared to answer, but I will try to. So what he's referring to is that I've spent few years in the industry, almost about 25. I've worked with Cisco and Symantec and Eucitius and various IT networking cybersecurity companies. And about 2 years back, just when COVID started in 2020 early, we had a little home in the hill, and we just, as a family, packed up our bags on a Friday night and left the city. And we went and lived in the hills for 2 years, me, my husband, and I have a 12-year-old daughter. So 2 years, and I quit the corporate world, and I set up a little wellness resort over there, just few mud huts and cottages. Did that in a very sustainable, eco-friendly way. And trust me, everything that I thought I had learned in my corporate life is something that I can go and use in this new business that I was setting. It was my start of a journey of an entrepreneur. Well, there were lots of things I've learned in my career and in my networking and IT life and cybersecurity, corporate world, but most of those things did not really apply. What really applied again, and going back to the point of my earlier conversation, is it was a human-centric approach. It was really the people that I brought together. I employed my whole team from the local villages. I gave employment to the laborers there. And this is a really secluded place in Uttarakhand where, there's, in 10-kilometer vicinity, there's nobody else. We're like really in the forest. But I kind of helped in uplifting the people, their lives, their families, sponsored education for children, got, employment for even the women of the villages and all of that. Did that for 2 years, and that enterprise is now really running on its own, it's outsourced, and it's a lot of joy. So whatever we learn in life, somewhere or the other we do use it. However, this was a completely different situation for me, and it has really worked out well. And what truly gives me the joy is that I'm able to support families. And it's a small start. Just 11 people are employed with us right now. But imagine if each one of you in this room start to think like this, and each one of you could take up a village and say, all right, we're going to bring this ground up, and we use technology. I have 100 Mbps broadband line. I have people who come there and do vacations and work from mountains and all of that. So trying to mix technology with the village life and all of that, and in my current situation here, like after coming back, I've actually been able to empathize more with people. I'm able to understand people more in my organization. I'm able to, bring down my ego in a lot of things, and I'm able to limit myself in needs that I would have for my life. So both ways, it has been a wonderful journey. Thank you.
Thanks. I think the audience is going to really remember that story for sure when they take off from here. So, Rajesh, back to you. How much of human-centric innovation do you see in the enterprises that you interact with?
I would say it's a kind of a mixed bag. It's a journey of sorts, because if you think about innovation, I think there are 2 or 3 fundamental questions. One is, what is innovation? Right? It's like, transformation. Everyone uses the word, but you need to contextualize it, right? So for purposes of our discussion, to me, innovation is how we are creating meaningfully better experience for customers, right? So let's say once define it, the second question then becomes is, how do you create it, right? And traditionally, the way it has been thought about it is, a particular innovation office is going to do it, a particular R&D department is going to do it, blah, blah, blah. But the fact of the matter is, this is your employees. Fundamentally, then going back to why are people kind of calling up, right? And anyone, as you know, all of us know, we don't see the thing that they saw is that they kind of looked at it and they say, hey, actually, the most of that time period, and the reason why it is commercial is anytime there's a difference, right? They highlight that. The employee, the user in this case, can double click on that and get the reasons. If then there is any issue, right, you can call it. So again, and this improved the experience significantly. So the point that I'm trying to make, which is going back to the human-centric approach, going back to the experience part of the picture. If you look at a lot of things in today's world, they can be replicated, right? Your marketing message definitely can be replicated. Even your data, technology, tools, even to the business model, right? You can see, that this startup comes up and within 2, 3 months, 5 months with a similar kind of model. There are so many others who come up. So those are replicable, repeatable. That is what we are saying, replicable. What is difficult to replicate, which is going back to my original point, I'm kind of possibly harping on that, but it's very related to the human element of it, is the culture part of the equation, right? And as they say, cultures eat strategy for breakfast, for sure they do.
Yeah. Thanks, Rajesh. So we have only around 2 minutes left. I'll quickly ask Vimal, if you have a message to give to all our friends in West Bengal, Kolkata, Vimal, what would that be?
Message. Okay, so message is that we were in core cities, tier 1 cities, as a data center provider. So we have finally decided that Kolkata will be the first tier 2 location where the construction will start. And I promise you that from NTT that the customer experience we have in core cities will bring the same experience, same infrastructure within Kolkata in the next 12 to 14 months time, depending on how quickly we get approvals. And I have been visiting Kolkata for so many years, but the kind of response I got for the last 6-7 months, I think this city is geared up for change, and we promise our contribution, and we promise to be customer-centric at the end of the day. So, thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you, Vimal. Rajesh, very quickly from you, what is the one thing that you believe is the biggest factor in the success of a client-centric organization?
Biggest factor is said, continue to be the culture part of the equation, the employee experience part of the picture, how organization internally, every one of us, everyone, right? How are they, which is going back to this Grab example, to Grab, the taxi hailing company of Singapore, right? As every employee start to understand, hey, this is, this problem is my problem, and the way they galvanize, that's the key, right? Of course, you can have the right tools, technology, all those are important, everything is important. This is the place where I see organizations miss it.
Right. Parul, one thing that you want everybody to remember about CrowdStrike?
About CrowdStrike. Well, there are quite a few things, but one thing that I can talk about is that we at CrowdStrike really believe that when we do need help, and this is from an organization, people perspective, when we need help, we seek out help, which means that we can actually look for opportunities where we can co-create, even with our customers and consumers, with all the people that we touch with our products or solutions. We can actually co-create with them so much in the market that together we can all win.
Great, thanks Parul. And Jimmy, always, like I promised, we will wrap up with a rap from you. I'm going to give you 4 words. Meta, data, changers, makers. Let's see you do a rap song for us, and the bell is just around.
Meta, data, changers, makers. Yo, 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 check it out and go. It's a meta world. You gotta say, show. Everybody say, put the data on hold. You gotta go, go, go. Everybody say, the change makers are the makers, and that's what life is all about. I hope I was satisfactory with your life. But
excellent.
But okay, I just gotta say one line about us at Friends FM, or Radio as per se. Interact, engage, connect, spread happiness, and we are there for you all 24/7. So give us a buzz whenever you need us so we can spread happiness together. Thank you.
Thanks everybody. Please give a big round of applause for our panelists. Great pleasure having you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chairperson and Moderator, for that excellent panel discussion. We request you to kindly remain on stage, and I'd like to request Mr. Suman Banerjee to kindly come on stage and present their mentors to our Chairperson and Moderator and our panelists. Extremely interesting session, I must say.